It is very important to solve questions of machine coding round before appearing for a front-end interview. My name is Vedant and you are watching front-end machine coding series on JS Cafe. And today we are going to build Typeahead search. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Alright, so before starting to code, let me demonstrate the application that we are going to build. So it is a type-ahead search. The another name of type-ahead search is a autocomplete search box, where you type something and you get suggestions as a drop-down just below the input box. So let's say if I enter A over here, and you can see a API called happen, and I am getting a list of persons whose name contains a character. And those who know, these are all list of Star Wars characters taken up from the Star Wars Swappy API. I'll tell you what it is, but before that, let us try to understand the question and see like what are the expectations and the functionalities of this particular type-ahead search. Wait. Did you check the JS Cafe website? Here you can find the solutions to all the problems that I've solved on the channel. Plus, you also get an organized curriculum in the form of roadmap to help you crack any interview. So what are you waiting for? Go to jscafe.dev and start your front-end journey with us. So if I type A, it will drop me suggestions. And now if I press down arrow, you can see that the first item got highlighted and I can toggle between all these values, okay, when I press down button. And also you can see that once I reach the last item and press down button again, it takes me to the first item of the list. Also vice versa for the up arrow as well. So I can move upwards like this, and if I press enter, this value gets selected as a current value, and the input box is filled with whatever value was entered. Okay, so now if I start deleting the characters from here, you can see that another API call was made. And all right, so you saw that I deleted almost 4-5 characters in a row, but only one API call was made. Okay, so here comes the concept of debouncing and about controllers. Okay, we will see that how it works. And so if I hit enter right now, so no API call was made, okay, because we haven't typed anything. If I just press like PARTH dot, you can see that only one API call was made, even though the character length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, but for 5 characters, we made only one network call. That was a good optimization. And you can see this active thing is there. And if I press enter, this gets selected. And if I delete everything, no API call was made. And also one more case. So if I write any random number, so sorry, no person found. Okay, this was a error message or no found message kind of stuff over here. Alright, so this was about the application that we are going to build, and trust me, we are going to use one of the best practices of industry that is there, and we are going to make it worth writing for a machine coding round. Given that you follow exact the same steps in an interview, your selection is for sure guaranteed. Alright, enough talking, now let's dive into the code. Oh, hey there. What you are looking at is the Discord community of JS Cafe. Are you a front-end developer looking for a community where you can connect with others in the industry, get mentorship, and find jobs and internship opportunities? Look no further. I am excited to announce that I have launched a new Discord community exclusively for front-end developers. Whether you are a beginner or an experienced developer, our community is the perfect place to share your knowledge, resolve doubts, and learn from each other. To join the Discord community, you can visit the About section of the YouTube channel and you can find the link. Now let's continue to the video. So first of all, let us clear all the rubbish items from here. Let's get rid of this. We don't need it. I need a wrapper. And let's get out these styles. And let me write some, classes to maintain the wrapper for us. So we'll write the width shall be, let's say, 50%. The margin shall be 0 auto, and it would be a display flex. Flex direction as column. Oops. All right. Now we have it over here. Now let us create a folder that would actually contain the search box component for us. So this is the search box, const search box equals to function, and it is going to return a JSX. So we are returning an empty fragment, and let's write search box for now, and let us export this. We exported the search box. Now let's import this search box into the app.js. Import search box from /search box, and let's render this search box. Yeah, now let's render this search box over here. Okay, now let us try to identify and pinpoint all the properties that we need to make this application, to make the search box. So think of this search box as just as a regular input field of a form. Okay, so think of it as if that any developer who is making a form in their project, they just import this component, okay, as a normal text box or a search box, and what it does is you can make the autocomplete feature as on and off. So think of typeahead search as an extension to any input type field. Okay, user can either turn the autocomplete feature on, or it can turn the autocomplete feature as off, or if the feature is off, it behaves as any regular input field where you can pass the styles, you can have an input field, you can have a label. But if the autocomplete is on, then this simple search box, this simple input box becomes a search box, and here you can get the results as the user types. Okay, so this is the extensibility of the feature that we are going to make, and it is very important that you convey this thing to the interviewer when you are before you are writing the code. Okay, so that you and interviewer both have the clarity of what you are actually building. Okay, many of times I've seen people just making an autocomplete feature, but they don't put a feature flag to turn on or off that autocomplete thing. Okay, so always remember that this autocomplete thing is an extension to a regular input box, and we can toggle the feature. All right, so first of all, before moving to typeahead search, we have to make the regular input box. Okay, so that is our base, that is our base grounds. Okay, we have to build a typeahead search on top of an input box. So let us think of a regular input box and try to formulate all the necessary props that are needed. So input box can have an ID. Okay, this would be an ID. I can say since we are taking the person name, so I can person name, I am taking the ID. Okay, and input field also has a name attribute, so we are going to take a name. Okay, let us take the name as like this, same. This is a name, and what we have a label tag as well. Okay, so label tag would contain what? Enter person name. Okay, and so also we need a placeholder. Placeholder is over here, like enter your favorite Star Wars person, right? So placeholder would be enter your favorite Star Wars character or person, whatever you want. So we have the basic items of a regular input field. Now let us try to move into the domain of the autocomplete feature. First and foremost thing is that we need a flag to turn this feature on and off. So right now I'm saying the feature is on. Now when say you are getting all of the features of autocomplete, okay, you are getting the list of items. You also want to limit the number of items. Let's say if you get 100 items as a list, so you won't show 100 items on the user screen, right? So you have to limit that thing. So to limit that thing, we are making a new prop called as max items. And right now I only want to show 5 items on my screen. That is it. Okay. So this is the basic max item thing over here. Now you also would want to pass styles. Okay. So styles, or not just styles, you can name it as, let's name it as styles. Okay. That should be pretty short and crisp. So this would be an object. Okay. And you can pass styles to the label, to the label tag, and you can also pass styles to the input tag. Right? So these are the two things. You won't be passing the styles to the list box, okay, where we are getting the fetching the results. So that UI is something we will handle via the render prop design pattern. Okay, so we are going to use actually 2 design patterns in this particular video. One is this render props pattern and another is a hooks pattern. Okay, so we are going to make a custom hook for us, and we are going to make a render prop design pattern that makes this search box heavily customizable. Okay, so stay tuned. We are going to do wonders in this project. So we can pass styles and whatnot. So we can also, so you have already seen that whenever I'm typing 5 characters, but only one API call was made, right? We saw just now. So it has a feature of debounce and also a portion of about controller as well. But that is something we'll build in the later part of the video, but let us have that prop with us. Okay. Debounce weight. Okay. Debounce weight, and I pass let's say 400 ms. What? Okay. And what? Okay, so we have the basic things. Now we need to show 3 items on the screen apart from the input and the label tag. One is the list box that is going to render all the search results. Second is the message when you have to say sorry, no result found. And third is the error message, something went wrong. Okay, so now comes the render prop pattern over here. So I can say I want to render my list box like this. Okay, and here I am going to pass the items. Okay, and the active index is also something we would need, but for now let us just stick to items. And I'm going to render a component over here that is going to iterate through the items array. So items array is the list of items. So we haven't made our list of box yet. So I'll just quickly go and create a new file and call it listbox.js, and I think everything is going to be the same. Search box would become list box, and I'll write a list box over here. Oops. All right. So import list box from /list box, and I'm going to pass down the list box and the items array over here. Currently we are not rendering list box inside the search box. Okay, we are just formulating all the props that is going to be needed before making the component. Okay, so in the machine coding round, you directly don't jump into writing the components. First you design the prop contract, okay, so that you both interviewer and you are agreeing, okay, these are all the props that we need to make this feature happen. Okay, once you decide all the props, then after that you proceed to writing the components. Okay, don't do the opposite. Okay, you write the component and decide the prop first. Okay, that is not the way. So we have got the list box items that is going to render the list. We need no item message. Okay, let us keep this very simple. I don't want to create a component for this. Okay, sorry, no person found. And also this is going to be error message as well. There was something went wrong. Okay, something went wrong for the user. I don't know what. And I think for now, this is a good place to start writing the component. Okay, so we have got the basic search component ready, that is being having all the props. We are also going to need some more props, but that is on demand basis. Okay, you can't think of those props at the moment. Okay, so these are all the basic thing you can. These are for the input box, these all are related to the list box, and these are for handling the message and the error message things. All right, so now let us go to index.js or the search box, and let us take all these props and start writing the component. So I'm having ID, I'm having a name, label, placeholder, autocomplete, max items, styles, rounds weight, list box, error message. All right. So I listed down all the props that we have written in the app.js file. And now let us write some JSX. So we are going to have a label tag. This is, and since we can customize this label tag from this external styles, so this would be styles.label. And I'm going to pass the label prop over here, and for would be the name. Okay, and let's have a break, and let me render the input tag. So name is going to be the name, class name is going to be styles dot input, and what else? We have a ID is gonna be ID, and then we are going to need some things to like, as we type, I should be able to like get the text from the input box and other stuffs. So what I'm going to need is a value, and also I'm going to need a on change. Okay, so this would be handle change const handle change, going to be a function. This is going to take event, and we are going to do a set state over here. So let us make a state query, set query. So we'll use state. We have an empty query right now. So value is going to be a query. Okay, and set query even dot get dot value. Okay, I think we can type it over here. Yes, we can. So up till now, I've created a label, I've created an input tag where we can type things. We have a function that is going to set the query thing for us. All right, now we have everything. Now the main part is that we should be able to fetch some data from the Swappy API, okay, for us. So what we are going to do is, let me show you the Swappy API Star Wars. So this Swappy API is something where you can fetch Like if you do swapy.dev or slash API people/1 and you get some results like this. So if we go to the documentation, there is about searching that all the resources support here are research parameters and filters yet to be returned. So if you do something like people/search/2 then and you pass the name of the person, then you will be able to fetch exactly the array of people matching the names. All right. So this is something that we are going to utilize right now. And for this, I'm going to write a custom hook for us. So this custom hooks is being used in searchBox. So I'll use fetch promise.js. Okay. And let me write the code for this. So const use fetch promise to function. Export default this. And this is going to actually take a promise. Okay. Or let us skip that promise thing for now because that would get too complex for you right now. So I'll tell you what problem that would cause and how can we fix that. So I'm just going to take a query, the query that input field. Okay. And right now I'm going to have a use effect. Okay. And we are going to also debounce things. So let me first of all write the fetch data function. Okay. So this is going to be a asynchronous function over here, and this is going to have a try catch statement. Right. Catch error. All right. So we are going to have const response equals to await fetch, and this is we are going to pass the URL. Okay. So this is the URL that is we are going to use. So we have a response that is awaiting for the fetch call. If not response.okay, if the request went something bad, then we are going to show throw new error, and I am going to pass response not status text. Okay. So if the response was okay, then const data equals to await response.json, and we got the JSON over here, and I'm just going to do a console.log of data, and if there was some error, then we are going to console.log the error for now. Okay, so we are going to call this function over here, fetch data. I pass the query, and this is use fetch promise, and what this function got, this is going to return. So this is going to return like the data, the error message, and this the ability to set the data as well. For now I am just returning an empty array. Okay. So we have this fetch promise. Okay, I'm going to use inside the searchBox component import from / use fetch promise, and const empty array equals to use fetch promise, and I'm going to pass the query. Okay, as simple as. So you can see that we are getting some items. All right. So let me try write trth dot, and so we are getting count as 2. The result is a 0 index and 1 index, and this contains an object named that weather, and these are all the details of that person. Swapy is an open API, so we didn't needed any authentication key. This was very simple. So once we get all the data, okay, we need to set this array that is inside the results object. So first of all, let us create a state const data set data. It's going to be use state, and it is nothing right now. All right, so we are going to do set data, and we are going to do data dot results like this. But you know, right? This effect should not be aware of what a key would contain the array. So let's say currently I'm using a swappy API. So the whole array is present inside the results object, results key, right? What if some other developer comes and they are having a different API and the array is contained in some another key? Okay, so data.results would fail at that time. Okay, so we have to make this thing very generic. Okay, we can't just do data.results for every API call that is made, right? So to fix this, we are going to use a transform data function. Okay, this data function is going to be received as a prop to this use fetch promise, and it is a duty of the transform data function to transform that object and fetch the desired results array from it, and so that use fetch can set that array. So to fix this, we are going to have a transform data function written itself in the app.js file. So we are going to write the transform data functions. Const transform data is going to the function. This is going to take a data, and we will get, what we do is we are going to do data.results. Okay, so I'm going to pass transform data as a prop to this, and I'm going to receive it as a prop, and I'm also going to pass this to transform data as a use fetch promise to use fetch promise, and this is going, use fetch promise is going to take this transform data, and I'm going to pass this to fetch data function. Why I'm not directly using the props? There's a reason to it, because in future we are going to use the debounce thing. Okay, so to make the debounce actually work, we have to make sure that this fetch data function is not recalculated every time, and we are going to also use a use callback for it. Okay, so I'll tell you, you will get to understand it once we proceed, once we land on to the debounce thing. But for now, let us just try to make the basic application work, and then we do the performance optimizations. So we get a transform data as a prop here. I am passing the transform data to it. This is taking a query. This is taking a query. This is taking a transform data. And now what I all have to do is I just have to pass transform data to this, and I can be worry free. Okay. And I'm going to return the data. I'm going to return set data, and also we need a error state. For error state, false error set error was to use state, and it contains actually nothing right now. So once we get error, so I'm going to do it like this, set error and error. Okay, and we are going to pass the error data as well over here. Yep, so this is all three we need right now. Now let us try to extract these data. All right, so we got the data, set data, error from everything. Now it is time for us to render the list box items so that we can display the list of all the items. So so this is a list box, and so if there is data and data dot the length is greater than 0, and I'm going to render the list box items, and I'm going to pass the data to it. Okay, so you can see that there was some data. Let me refresh it, and so you can see that this use fetch promise is getting executed, because use effect is going to run even on the empty query value, and since that, because of that, we are getting the results of 10 items in the array. Okay, so let us fix that also, but before that, let me like render all the items inside the list box. So we get the data, we get the items over here. So I am getting the items prop, okay, over here, and let us get rid of this. We are going to have a UL tag. This is going to, I'm going to map over the items. So items dot map item, and I'm going to random li item comma index, and the key would be index, I think, because we can have a key as an index because we are not removing or adding any item from the list via any operation. So we can write it like this, and I'm writing item dot name unreachable code detected. All right. Okay, so I'm able to render all the names over here. Okay, now all right. So fetch promise is working. The index file is also working. I am getting the results. All right. So let me try to fetch the value of DARTH. So see, we see it is working, right? All right. So far, we have built a basic application, and we have used render props. We have make use of custom hooks for us. Now let us. This use fetch promise is very specific to this particular case. So this particular URL is hard coded over here. And what if some other developer wants to use a different URL all of a sudden? And what if it has a multiple props, multiple values? Okay, how shall we handle it? And also there is one problem with this, that it is making a API call even when the query is empty. So we need to fix these two things in our use fetch promise custom hook. So first of all, let us try to fix that network call thing. So if there is no query, okay, if there is no query, then set data as null. Okay, set error as null, or by default you can have these values as null. Okay, you can have these values and null, and you can just return, or it is also necessary to set these values as well, because there are chances that like user has cleared his input field, and now you explicitly want to make the data as empty and array as empty. So we are making set error as null as well, and I'm returning it from here. So let me refresh this and see. Right there. So no network call was made. So this is working fine. So this particular code is very specific to this particular example, this particular project. So we need to make it very generic. So to fix that, what we need is we need another prop that comes from the consumer of the search box. This consumer of search box would tell us, okay, what should be the promise expected. Okay, so I'm going to pass a function. I'm going to write a function basically that is going to return a promise for us. And this is where it gets really easier for us to maintain the custom hook without worrying about the reusability of the code. So we have data promise. Okay, this is going to be a async function, and it is going to take a query, and it is going to return a promise. No, sorry, it is going to promise is not, it is going to return us a fetch. Okay, so let us copy everything from here. I guess we can cut it from here and paste it, and we pass this as data promise, or I guess just promise would be fine. And we use this promise over here, and I pass the promise. Okay, and I am consuming the promise in the use effect, and await promise, and I am passing the query. What it is saying that fetch data. Okay, let us pass the fetch data and see. The moment I included this as a dependency, it is asking me to wrap this fetch data inside a use callback, because after every re-render, this function is going to be recreated if we don't use callback. And to avoid that thing, it is very likely that we wrap this whole thing inside a use callback and prevent this function from recreating every time after this particular use fetch promise is executed. So let me import use callback. So we have imported use callback. Now let us write it use callback. This is going to be a function, array of dependencies, and that's it. Okay, so it is giving some error. I guess we have to remove this. And we have to remove this. Yes, it is working. So we have wrapped this inside a use callback, and this is working fine. Let us try to search DARTH dot, and yeah, it is working. So you can see that we made this use fetch promise very generic. It is taking any promise, it is passing the query, and it is now the job of the consumer to pass the appropriate promise to the search box component, so to fetch the relevant result. Now if any developer comes and they have some other API, so they can pass their particular promise and this would work just fine, and this becomes highly customizable. So we kind of fixed our use fetch promise right now, but again the problem lies that this we are making function calls for every character hit, so we need to minimize that thing. Okay, to minimize that thing, we are going to utilize, of course, the debounce and the abort controller methods. So let us go here and implement your debounce things. So let us try to add Lodash. So Lodash is getting here. So import debounce from Lodash slash debounce. All right. So we are going to make this a debounced function. So use callback. I'm going to pass a debounce to it, and this is going to take let's say 400 over here. So this becomes a debounce, and remember we passed a debounce wait props over here. Now is the right time to consume it. So we can pass the debounce wait, and I can pass it over here as well as a props, and I'm going to pass this as a prop over here, and going to consume this enough parameters, and this is the place we are going to use a debounce wait. And now let us try to see how is it working fine or not. So I'm going to write DARTH, and it made just one API call. Okay, this is working absolutely fine. But so if I write a very big character and I try to clear it, see, it was making two API call. Why? Because this particular thing, that deletion of characters, is happening at a very fast pace, and also that debounce is having a limit of 400 ms only. We can't extend this debounce call to 1 second or 2 seconds, because that would degrade the user user experience. As because remember, see, because think that you are typing and you are seeing the results after 3-4 seconds. Okay, that is a very degraded experience for a user. So to fix this particular edge case where we are having a lot of characters, and when I'm clearing all the letters, I am making 2 to 3 calls in this fashion. Okay, this is not acceptable. So to fix this, we need a abort controller implementation inside the use effect. Abort controller is something like, let's say you are having simultaneous network calls. Okay, but let's say you made one call and you made another call as well. So when the second call will be made, the first call would be aborted and the preference would be given to the second network call. Not while the second network call is in progress, you made a third network call on the same domain, on the same URL. So this second network call is going to get aborted and the preference will now be on the third network call. Okay, so this way we are cancelling the network calls via the abort controller method, and it is very simple to use. Okay, let me show you how. So we have this use effect over here where we are actually making the fetch data function call. So this is exactly the place where we are going to put our abort controller. So first of all, we make the controller new abort controller, and then we get the signal out of it. Signal would be controller dot signal. We get the signal, and now we just pass this signal to the function call that is being made over here. And the bounce weight is missing as a dependency. All right, we add it. All right, so we pass signal, we consume signal inside the fetch data function call, and we pass the signal. Okay, now we pass the signal to the promise over here. Okay, this signal is going to be consumed. And also one more thing, so the other thing I did wrong over here was that I kind of passed the debounced weight to the fetch data function, actually, because it is nowhere consuming it. So we can get rid of it, and debounce weight is only be used from the prop set only. So that was one mistake I did. But yeah, let's come back to the signal thing. So we consume signal in the promise. We also need to pass the signal from the function call. All right, so we did pass the signal, we did made the abort controller, we have the controller or signal, but where are we actually aborting it? So all we need to do is we need to write everything inside this cleanup function. All right, so whenever the query changes, the cleanup function is going to run before re-rendering the effect. Okay, re-rendering the component. Okay, whenever you are writing A, first the cleanup would run, and then this function would run apart from the return. Now you typed a B after A, so this cleanup function will run, and then after that this particular code will run for AB text. Okay, for the new text AB. So this particular cleanup return function is the best place for us to clear the network calls. So all I need to do is controller.abort, and this is it. Yes. And we also passed the signal to the data promise function which we created, and I'm consuming it over here. So use fetch promise, I aborted the function call. Now let me refresh this, and let us try to write abracadabra, and I am clearing everything at once. Right, so all right, so let me show you this to you in the network tab as well, so that you can see this very clearly. Network, and I am writing abracadabra. I made one network call. Now I am clearing it. So you can see that this particular call got cancelled, and it is saying fail to fetch or what not. But you can see that it is saying that the user aborted a request, failed to execute fetch on window, the user aborted a request. Okay, so because I abort, so what happened right now? Okay, let us try to see what happened right now. So right now, whenever we abort a request, so whatever was present inside a try statement, a error was thrown for that previous request. Okay, and we console logged the error, and we set error as true as well. Okay, so is there a way where we can, so we ideally don't want to throw or render any error whenever there is a case of a network abortion. Okay, this doesn't make sense. So how can we prevent this calling set error function if it is a case of network abortion? So it is very simple that you got the signal in the function call. All you need to write is if not signal dot aborted. If the signal was not aborted, then only you make this error as true and you pass the error data. Okay, because the network was aborted manually by us, it was a very intentional thing, and because of the nature of the abortion, it throws an error. So we ideally don't want to render or console any error on the user's screen. Okay, so we kind of ignored that thing. So this was the error handling. So we optimized it by adding abort controller. We handled the edge case, we added debounce, and we created a very nice reusable custom hook. So you see that it is having a very high reusability. We are using try catch. We are using await instead of using promise.then, and also it is a new code ES6 code, and we are having response that okay, we are logging the data, we are rendering it now. Before moving forward, now let us try to make everything look a little nicer, because now we are going to deal with like few of the remaining items, remaining props over here. So first of all, I guess we can directly write the placeholder. I guess we missed it in the starting. So placeholder is something over here. We do have a autocomplete, we do have a max item, we do have a no error and error message. So let us first try to utilize this flag autocomplete over here. So autocomplete flag, when turned off, will not render any results. So we can pass this autocomplete flag to the custom hook over here, and this custom hook is going to make sure that if this flag is true, please do not make any network calls. So we are going to utilize this autocomplete flag over here. Use fetch promise is taking a signal. No, this is not going to take a signal. I don't know why I added that. This is going to take a autocomplete. If not query or autocomplete or not autocomplete, please do not make a network call. All right. So let us make autocomplete as false for now and see if we get any data from the API. I type it. No API call was made, nothing was happening because the autocomplete feature was false and it is behaving like a very normal input box. Very normal. Now I do is I make it true, and yeah, I write A over here, and this is making a API call. And also you can see that this is giving its own nasty auto suggestions. This is, I guess, auto suggestions from the input box. So I do not need this. So autocomplete should be false. Should be off, I guess. Yeah, and now it is not giving me. Correct. This is fine. And we are having data set data error, and also we need to handle like the up arrow, down arrow, and other stuffs as well. All right, so far we did like 60-70% of the requirement. Now first, before moving forward, let us try to make this whole thing a little prettier. We write the styles for the label. Font size should be 20 pixels, and let me import the styles. Okay, we have it. So I'm going to pass the label, and this is going to contain input, input, and let the padding be 10 pixels, width be 300 pixels, border radius be 10 pixels. Okay, this is looking a little good. Now we need to also prettify our list box as well. So let me create a CSS file, list box.css. Oops, list box.css, and I'm just pasting down. Oh, please. So let me create a file, list box.css. Let me paste down all the styles for you over here, and we use these styles in the list box. All right. So this particular list box, so it is going to have a list box container. So list box container, and let me also fetch some data over here. Okay. So this is, and we are going to import the styles. Import dot slash list box.css. So it is going to have a class name of list box item, and this is looking very nice. Also, let us assume that we are getting a index item. Okay, because you remember in the application which I shown to you, once you type it and see, you can like have a active item, right? Once you press down the up and down arrow key. So we need that functionality as well. So I'm assuming that I will get an active index as a prop from the list box. All I need to do over here is that whenever my index is equals to active index, then I just apply a active item class to it. Active item class is over here, like it is having a different background color and color, all of a different thing for us. So this is what we will have. Okay, this would be the CSS. This would be the list box styling. So now the main part is writing the functionality for it. Okay. So let us try to make this functionality of selections. So let us have a on key up listener over here. Handle key up. Handle key up would be a function for us. Const handle key up is going to be a function. And I'm going to get a event. So user can enter on it. You can go up and down on it. These are the two things that we have to care in this handle key up function. So if so we first of all I get the const key code equals to event dot key code. Okay. If key code equals to 13, मतलब user enter, else if key code equals to 40, user has moved down. Else if key code equals to 38, then he is moving up. Okay, these are all the cases. So what I am going to do is I am going to create a state called as active index set at active index. Okay, so in the active index, what I'm going to do is this would be the value that is currently active when the user is navigating up and down on the result list. All right, so we need to tweak the values of active index based on the user interaction. Okay, so let us formulate a logic and write a code for it. So when the user has entered, okay, and if the user entered but the active index is null, right? So if user is entering and if active index equals to null, Okay, then don't do anything, return. So this was one case, and we will write rest of the logic later once we are finished with writing for the move down and move up. Okay, so when the user has moved down, okay, and if active index equals to null, this is the case when the user is pressing down for the first time. Okay, or the active index is equals to data dot length minus 1. Okay, in this case set active index as 0. So when are the cases then when we want to make the index at the first place, right? So let me refresh the app, and I write a. So so right now the active index is null because we haven't pressed any up and down arrow. Now once I move it down for the first time, it is on the 0 index. Now the length of the result is 5. So we are at the 0 index. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is what? Length minus 1. 5 minus 1 is 4. So now when I reach this particular case, I want the active index to move to top. So at this point, these are the both handled cases that I have written. If it is not the case, okay, if it is not the case, then else set active index. If this is not the case, set active index previous index plus 1. Okay, so increment it by 1. This is the thing. Now if the user sorry, it has to be over here in the else part. Now if the user is moving up, okay, if the user is moving up, so let me first of all write the cases for you. If active index equals to 0, then set active index as data dot length minus 1. I can take this up. Else I just decrement it. Okay, now what is this case? So now user is moving up. So now user is moving up. Let's suppose he is moving from this case. So he is moving upwards, 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 and upwards like this. Okay, now he is at the 0th index. Now our pointer has to move down to last index. So this was at the 0th index. Now if it is at 0, then move it at the bottom. Else just increment it like this. Okay, this is very simple. Okay, now we have handled our cases. We also need to pass this active index here. So we are passing the active index to list box, and we also need to pass it inside the render prop as well. Active index and active index was to active index like this. Now I'm typing a, and you can see it is working fine. So currently I'm having 10 items in the list, so it is working according to that. All right, and if I hit enter, nothing is happening because we have not written the logic for it. So we are going to go to index again, and we are going to write the code for the piece where we left off previously. So when the user has entered, okay, all I want to do is perform a set query. Okay, so if the index for null, don't do anything, then do a set query of data active index dot name. Okay, set data as null. Okay, once you hit enter, you want to clear the list. And also I want to turn off the autocomplete for now, because I'll tell you what was the edge case. So we make the active index also as null because there is no active index, and I return it like this. So this was a logic for the enter case, and before that I need to fix one error. So it has to be value, And yeah, so so if I write A and I get a list of results and I hit enter, you can see that OL last was the actual values entered over here. But again, we made one more API call which was not expected, right? So we need to fix this. You can see that upon hitting the enter, since the query was changed, since the query got changed, again it caused the use effect hook inside the search box here in the use fetch promise got triggered again because it was a query. So we would need to turn off the autocomplete feature when the user hits enter, and we have to enable the feature again when the user is pressing any other key. Okay, so to fix that, what all we need to do is we need to first of all create a derived state from autocomplete. You can see that this is the autocomplete here. So let me make this. So okay, so here it is autocomplete. Is autocomplete set autocomplete use state autocomplete. So all we need to do is we need to set autocomplete as false, and we can actually get rid of else over here, and we can make set autocomplete as true in this case. And also we would need to pass autocomplete over here like this. So let us try to refresh and see. I write A and I hit enter, and boom, no API call was made. So this was one case, and also we haven't actually utilized the max items, error messages, and other stuffs. So we also need to handle this case as well. And you can see that if I press up and down values on like on nothing on empty input box, it is giving me errors. This is because you can see that the data is actually null, so it doesn't exist at that moment. So we need to add one more check over here, that is if data is empty or there is no length over here, then actually do not do nothing. Okay, we would need to change the if not data or data dot length equals to 0, then right. So this is working fine, and we have written almost every handled every case, and but we all is pending is the handling of item message and the error message. So it is very simple. Let us just write this down, and yep. There is a typo in error message. It has to be, it is an error message over here, and yeah, this should be fine. So if data is there, if data dot length is greater than 0, then render the list item. If query is present and data is present and the data dot length is 0, then show no item message. And if there is an error, then display an error. So let us refresh and see. So if I enter randomly anything, it is saying sorry, no person found. I cleared everything. Again, it is working fine. I entered anything. I am doing AS, row or nest. I hit enter. It is working fine. I start deleting items. Okay, so after deleting the items, you can see that like once I hit enter, once I hit entered and I am trying to make an API call again, it is not happening. So we would have to see what is the problem here. Um, okay, so we would need to make this upwards, I guess, and this should work. I hit enter. Yep, this is working. Sorry, no person found. and yeah, this is working absolutely fine. Also, only thing remaining here is the max items. We haven't actually utilized the max item over here. We would need to do that. All right, now let us come to the last resort, that is the max items. Unfortunately, like I was checking the Swappy APIs, they do not provide a additional query to limit the amount of results from the API. So that is something not working. But again, to have a workaround on this, what we can do is I can pass this max items to the use fetch promise. Okay, and this fetch promise would actually go to the transform data. Okay, so I am utilizing this max items over here, and it is utilizing the max items over here, and I will be passing this max item to the transform data itself. All right, so again, this would again circle back to the app.js file where we are actually calling it, and max item 5 was supposed to be here, and that is why actually I am hesitating to have a prop of max items in the search box itself, because I have already provided you the transform data, transform data functionality to the developer. So what I'll directly do is instead of having the max items prop being over here and being passed down to the use fetch, instead what we can do is we can declare these max items over here, const max items equals to 5, and I get rid of this at this moment. And all I can do right now is I can utilize this max items in the transform data itself, right? So I get transform data is equal to data.results, and I just pass the max items over here like this. Then it is going to give me the top 5, sorry, not like this. So all I can do in the transform data is I have the max items. I can do a dot slice and 0 comma max item is what should be sufficient for the case. I can refresh this and see if it is working. And after 1 2 3 4 5, right, this is perfectly fine. And let us try to hit first one. It is working. Let's check the second one. Okay, this is working fine. Awesome, right? So this was the machine coding question on type ahead search or the slash search box. And if you have any questions, please do let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to answer. And yeah, this was all in this video. See you in the next one. Till then, take care. Goodbye.